Last month, a Johns Hopkins School of Education report made waves in the education world. The report found, among other things, that homeschooling is actually on the rise across the United States. Here now to react to the report's finding is Joel Grewe. He is the Executive Director for the Homeschool Legal Defense Association Action. Joel, welcome to Washington Watch. It's an honor to have you with us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, you are very, very welcome. Exciting news here, and I think disturbing news for some on the left for sure. But what were your takeaways from this study?
So it was really interesting. As everyone knew during COVID, at a certain point, particularly for a couple of weeks, everyone was a homeschooler. Everybody was doing education at home. And in a sense, that created this massive surge of people that identified as homeschoolers. And then as schools reopened, logically, we knew people were going to go back into what they considered their normal form of education. But while that occurred, and there was obviously a retrenchment of numbers, homeschooling and people who were adopting that as a choice, not just a fill in the gap, continued to rise. And we're seeing that work its way out now in the numbers. And once you get kind of the surge in and out effect going away, which I think COVID created, you're seeing the continued growth of homeschooling. And I think that's because of the inherent advantages and attractions of homeschooling that parents and students are finding.
Yeah, the great point. I mean, parents and students are fighting for the rights to raise their kids, the rights to educate their kids, the right to determine what their kids and how their kids are going to be educated. Is that really the driving force behind all this?
That's one of them. Homeschooling occurs, honestly, for an amazing variety of reasons. Homeschooling is the ultimate customization of education. And as we know, God makes every kid unique. He makes every person unique, right? It is not an irrational extension of that understanding to recognize that how they learn and how best to teach them and the uniqueness of the parents, the home they're in, all of that put together can result in customized education. And homeschooling is the ultimate way to do that. If you've got a kid that's special needs or has a specific interest or talent or some sort of God-given interest or area they want to learn in, standardized education in a box sometimes really struggles to meet those needs or talents and opportunities. Homeschooling is inherently able to do that. In fact, you see a remarkable number of kids really thrive in that, and I think that's what's resulted in its increasing growth. You also see it as a major reaction to failures in the traditional form of education, which is why we're seeing record numbers of Hispanics and Black Americans who are homeschooling. It's happening all across the United States because you can do it anywhere, and you can do it with a very low dollar amount compared to normal other forms of education. And everyone had to learn that lesson during COVID. And some people went, that wasn't a bad idea. We're going to stick with that.
Wow. So are you at all surprised by the upward trend here for homeschooling?
Nah, I'm really not. Now, to be fair, I was a homeschool kid. I had to talk my mom into it back in the day. She was worried she couldn't do it. And I said, we'll give it a try. Mom, please let me be homeschooled. If it doesn't work in a year, I'll go back. And I didn't. And now my wife and I homeschool our kids. And it's been a great thing for them. My boys have very unique and different interests. I've got 3 boys. And all of them with different talents and God-given gifts. And we can really use homeschooling as a way to equip them and prepare them. And at the same time, we have to recognize, and I think the Homeschool Hub research article recognized the fact that in their research, they weren't able to tell you why people were choosing home education, just that more and more people were, which actually fits a larger national trend where you are seeing people leaving traditional public education for alternatives. Homeschooling is the first and earliest form of alternative education, as it were, in kind of this modern world. Obviously, private schools have been around. Homeschoolers, no offense, we predate every other form of education on the planet. So we do get to call ourselves the original, but in modern educational choice, it's been going on since the 80s and really has grown to be not a kind of fringe movement, but to an enduring institution, legal in all 50 states, growing in the vast majority of them. I think the only 2 that it might not be is New Hampshire and Vermont, and part of that is because they count people differently there in a change in law. But we're really seeing that growth, and we're seeing it in places where people found that the options they had in front of them weren't serving their needs. And it was a variety of needs. Sometimes it was safety. Sometimes it was educational quality. Sometimes it was content that parents found they disagreed with that was being pushed toward their kids in the traditional school. Sometimes it was a unique gift they wanted to be able to help their kids capitalize on.
Wow. Let me just real quickly, and by the way, we homeschooled our kids too, and I say we, let me just be honest, my wife led that charge all the way to college, and it was just fantastic. Wouldn't take anything for it. But for some parents and grandparents right now who are potentially interested in homeschooling their kids, we've got less than a minute left, but where can they go to get some more information, maybe some resources about homeschooling and that sort of thing?
Well, the nationwide information shop is going to be HSLDA, Homeschool Legal Defense Association. We've been around for about 40 some years, and we kind of have a bit of everything when it comes to homeschooling. And once you get the legal part of it put together and where they go from there, we've got a place on our website where you can go to find local homeschool groups in your area, your state groups, the different kind of communities that help come around homeschoolers to make them thrive, to help them excel. That would be the place I would start. Depending where your state is, every state in the nation, I think, has some sort of homeschool group, if not local co-ops where you can find that meet at your local church, local library, maybe the local park, that work on different projects together. Homeschoolers kind of get the reputation of being isolated, but really, we're very not. And you probably know a decent number of them, and you don't even know they're homeschoolers.
Very true. Thank you, Joel Grewe, Homeschool Legal Defense Association Action Executive Director there. We appreciate you coming on. And great news about homeschooling. Thank you.